Today, we are going to paint our Chris Uphues inspired drawings. To paint with this, I would really like you to try a new technique using washable markers and water and a paintbrush. But of course, you can use paint if you do not have washable markers. The general idea here is that I want to try to convey the emotion that I was thinking of, so my colors should match my expression, and I need to also just take really care and use excellent craftsmanship to do my paint. So this heart is kind of really happy and jovial, so I'm gonna pick a color that I think reminds me of being really, really happy. So I think I'm gonna pick like a pinkish magenta color. So I'm gonna use a marker, and for this cool technique, we're going to color with the marker around the outside edge, as close to our black crayon lines as we can, and kind of outline the heart. I can also put some color around the features, or maybe around the eye, and the other eye, just to give it a little bit more dimension, and around the mouth. To make the color come to life, that's when I'm going to change over to my water. So I'm going to take my water that is plain water, get my paintbrush, and activate the color by just running plain water over top of it. And it brings that marker to life a little bit. And I'm just going to spread that marker color around the rest of my heart to kind of fill in the gaps. And you can see that around the key features of the heart, it is very bright and bold. And then as I get further away from those little indentations, the color subtly changes into a lighter color. So it just has this really cool effect of giving it dimension and value. Now this little heart's kind of goofy and silly, so I'm gonna pick a color that I think, since I made this to represent my son, that he would like, and he loves green. So I'm gonna do this as a lime green. And again, I'm doing the same thing, outlining the area with the marker first. And for smaller sections, you might have to use more of the tip of your marker, and that's okay too. And for anything I want to leave white, like teeth or the white parts of the eyes, I just don't put marker or water there. I'm gonna do the hula as if I were painting with this, and then activate that color. So you can see it starts to come to a very light green version of the color I just put on. So I'm just kind of spreading that around. When I get close to a spot where I have to be a little bit more careful, I'll hold my brush up, just like I do with paint, like a tiptoe ballerina, to get into those tiny little spots. For the stripes in your background, you can pick whatever kind of crazy colors you want, but I still want to do this really cool marker effect. And I think what I'll do is along like this top line here, I will pick a color, and you can make a pattern, you can do whatever, but you have to make sure you don't pick a color that you've already used. So since I've already used this magenta and this lime green color, I don't want to use those again, but I can switch to a different color. Maybe I'll take and go from an orange. And since this is the first stripe up here, I'm gonna make it solid across the top of my paper with that orange. And then I'm going to take my water, activate the color with the plain water, and then just try to bring that color down a little bit. So I'm bringing it down into that other space. I'm gonna do the hula because I want it to get lighter. So I'm gonna use less water, so it goes from being a dark orange into a light orange. So the more water I put on my brush, the more that effect is achieved. When I go to the next color, no matter what it is, I think I'm just going to go to a different one. I don't want to use any of these. I think I'll go to this like blue color. This time I'm going to follow the contour of the line above it. So it's going to be that same wiggly shape all the way around and across my paper. The black crayon is hopefully helping you stay in the line so that your colors don't mix. And if you left a little white spot, it's not the end of the world, because when you put your paint and your water together, you can paint right over top of that. So I'm gonna activate that blue line now and bring that blue down a little bit. Every so often getting more water on my brush to reactivate that beautiful color. Spreading it down, then take plain water and drag it down again. So you can see it go from being really light to a really dark. And you have that really beautiful range of color. For really tiny little details, like the inside of your mouth, or the tongue, or the teeth, you can just color with a regular old marker, or paint it with another color. So if I want the inside of my mouth to be a different color, I can just take my marker and color fully, because it's gonna be too hard to get my tiny brush into those little spots. So don't be afraid to just color. If I want it black, I take a black marker, I color it black. I wanna leave the whites of my eyeballs white, and I wanna be careful that as I am working on this, I don't put my hand down, because if I put my hand down, I'm going to transfer that marker to somewhere else on my paper. Let's see how I finish this.